this English lesson, we'll read a news article together to help you improve your English fluency in only 30 minutes. This is an advanced article on how the world is spinning faster. Welcome back to JForrest English. Of course, I'm Jennifer. Now let's get started. First, I'll read the headline. A faster spinning Earth may cause timekeepers to subtract a second from world clocks. So we're talking about a faster spinning Earth. The Earth spins. Now, what type of word is this? A faster spinning Earth may cause timekeepers. May is a modal verb and it suggests possibility. So this is possible, but it isn't guaranteed. So this may not happen. May not, the negative, may not happen, because may is only a possibility, not a certainty. Now notice grammatically we have our modal verb plus our base verb. The verb is to cause, but we don't say may to cause. We just use the base verb following a modal, may cause. If I wanted to express this as a certainty, not a probability, what word would I use instead of may? Do you know? A faster spinning Earth will cause, if you want it to sound like a certainty, but may is just probability. May cause timekeepers. Timekeepers are people who keep time. Timekeepers. I did not know this was a profession, that there were timekeepers. Did you? So this is a profession. And the timekeepers may subtract. So subtract is when you remove a number. So in this case, the number is a second. A means one in this case. 1 second. Subtract 1 second, a second from world clocks. Only 1 second. I wonder what impact that will have. I have no idea. Now, don't worry about taking these notes because I summarize everything in a free lesson PDF. You can find the link in the description. Let's continue. Earth's changing spin is threatening to toy with our sense of time. Here we have the verb to threaten. And what verb tense is it in? The present continuous is threatening because it's taking place now. So here, something threatens someone or something. Let's look at this example. She's threatening to quit. So this means there's the potential for risk, harm, or a challenge. In this case, the challenge, if she quits, she takes her knowledge, her experience with her, and there's no one to do the job. So that is the potential. But if she's threatening to quit, it's not a certainty because it may happen, that modal verb, a probability. So there's a potential, but again, it's not guaranteed. Now, in this case, Earth's changing spin, so the change is that it's spinning faster. Earth's changing spin is threatening to toy with. Do you know what this means? To toy with our sense of time, clocks, and computerized society. So to toy with something. Toy with means to manipulate or to joke with, but to joke with in a careless way. So let's add to our example. She's threatening to quit. And then the person could reply and say, she's just toying with us. So she's trying to manipulate us by saying she's going to quit, but she has no intention of actually quitting. She's just toying with us to get a raise. So this is her motivation. She won't quit. So she's trying to manipulate us or joke with us, but in a careless way. So you could toy with me if I ask you to subscribe to my channel because it really helps my channel. And then you say, maybe I will, maybe I won't. Oh, I'll do it later. I could say, stop toying with me. So stop trying to say you might, you will, you won't, and leave me wondering if you will. So don't toy with me, subscribe to the channel. So put in the comments, I won't toy with you, I won't, I'll subscribe, put that in the comments. And I won't toy with you by threatening to stop this lesson right now. So let's continue. Okay, in an unprecedented way. Unprecedented means that it's never happened before. This is the first of its kind that we're experiencing. And unprecedented is an adjective, so it describes, in this case, a way, an unprecedented way, but only for a second. And remember, a second means 1 second. For the first time in history, we already know this because it said an unprecedented way. So this is not actually communicating new information because that's what unprecedented means. For the first time in history, world timekeepers, again, profession of people who keep time. Do you know any timekeepers? I didn't know that was a thing. World timekeepers may have to consider. This is interesting because may is a modal verb. Have to is also a modal verb, but for obligation. So by saying may, it's the potential. It's the potential for this obligation. So remember, modal plus base verb, but it's the same thing because in this case, we have the modal have to, and then the base verb is consider. So this to does not belong to consider. It belongs to have to. And this have to is important because it suggests that they're only doing this out of obligation. It's not something that they sat down in a meeting and said, should we subtract a second from the world clock? No, it's an obligation. They have to subtract a second. Well, in reality, they may have to consider subtracting. So consider means they're going to decide if it's necessary or not. They're going to discuss it to see what they should do. But then may is a possibility. So right now we know that this is just a potential. It may not happen. May have to consider subtracting, removing a second from our clocks in a few years. So not today, not next year, in a few years, because the planet is rotating a tad faster than it used to. So a tad means a little bit, a small amount of whatever the modifier is, in this case, fast. Here's a natural way you can use a tad. I could ask you, do you want milk in your coffee? And then you can reply back and say, just a tad, just a small amount of milk. Or you could say, I'm a tad tired. I'm a tad tired. I'm a little tired. Small amount of the modifier, in this case, tired. Are you enjoying this lesson? If you are, then I want to tell you about the Finally Fluent Academy. This is my premium training program where we study native English speakers from TV, movies, YouTube, and the news so you can improve your listening skills of fast English, expand your vocabulary with natural expressions, and learn advanced grammar easily. Plus, you'll have me as your personal coach. You can look in the description for the link to learn more, or you can go to my website and click on Finally Fluent Academy. Now let's continue with our lesson. Clocks may have to are double modals again. There's a possibility of the obligation. Clocks may have to skip a second. When you skip something, it means you purposely bypass it, omit it, or don't do it. So let's say you got a notification for a new video I posted, a new lesson, but you decide to skip it. You're not going to watch it. You purposely ignore it, bypass it, avoid it. So you skip it. So I hope you won't skip my videos. I hope you will watch my videos. So put in the comments, I won't skip them. I won't skip them. Them being your videos, I won't skip them, which means when you get a notification, you click it and you watch it, or you save it and you watch it later. That is perfectly fine as well, but don't skip them. Clocks may have to skip a second, called a negative leap second, around 2029. Remember, previously it said in a few years. So 2029 is in a few years from today, around. But that means approximately 2029. Could be 2028. It could be 2030 because they said around. A study in the journal Nature said Wednesday. So here, Nature is the name of the journal, and that's why it has this capital here, because it's a proper noun, and we capitalize the first letter of a proper noun. So I'll just write this out for you so you remember it's a proper noun, and you need to capitalize. And to show you, that means to capitalize. Said Wednesday. This is an unprecedented situation. And now you know what this means. What does it mean? Remember, it describes the situation. So has the situation happened before in the past? No, because it's unprecedented as an adjective to describe the situation. And this refers to what was previously said, the negative leap year, having to skip a second. This is an unprecedented situation and a big deal. When you describe something as a big deal, it means it's significant or important. Let's review this sentence. Getting a promotion is a big deal, is a huge deal. So you're saying this event, getting a promotion, is important. It's significant. We should celebrate this. So maybe your friend tells you, oh, I got a promotion, no big deal. So we use that in the negative to say, no big deal, not a big deal. Trying to minimize the importance of something, but then you could reply back and be like, no, getting a promotion is a huge deal. We should celebrate. I added the sentence in the negative. It's not a big deal. It's no big deal, because it's very commonly used in the negative as well. So very natural expression that you can add to your vocabulary. Ice melting at both of Earth's poles has been counteracting the planet's burst of speed and is likely to have delayed this global second of reckoning by about 3 years, Agnew said. So let's take a look at this sentence, because we have Earth's poles, which would be they. It's plural. There's more than one, so it's they. But then we have has been. Why is that? Because Earth's poles is not the subject that's being conjugated. This is a gerund sentence. It starts with the gerund verb, melting, but it's just saying what is melting, ice melting. And all of this is the subject. And with gerunds, the subject is always it or this. This has been counteracting. So with gerunds, you don't look at the last part, because there may be a plural and you might get confused and think it should be have been. The poles have been. That's grammatically correct. The poles, if that's the subject. The poles have been melting. But it's this entire thing, and this is conjugated as this, a gerund statement. Now let's look at counteracting. When something counteracts something else, it works in opposition to it, or it neutralizes it. So it sounds like there's a burst of speed. So the planet
is spinning faster, but then this ice melting is actually reducing that, is causing it to spin slower. So it's counteracting that burst of speed. So the ice melting is causing the speed to decrease. And that's why this negative leap second, this global second of reckoning, this is just a clever, trying to be clever way of saying the negative leap second. They're referring to the fact that global timekeepers may have to subtract 1 second. That's the global second of reckoning. So, very dramatic way of saying it. All of this to say that the fact that we may need to subtract a second was supposed to happen 3 years earlier, but the ice melting has delayed it, and now it may happen 3 years later in 2029. That's what this paragraph means. Earth takes about 24 hours to rotate, but the key word is about. Now, why did they say this? The key word is about. By saying the key word, they're saying the most important part of this sentence is the word about. Now, in this case, what does about mean? What would be a synonym? It would be approximately. Approximately, around is another synonym for approximately. So it could be 23.72 hours or 24.17 hours. It's about 24 hours, approximately around. That's the key word. That's the important thing you need to remember. If you wanted to summarize this article for a friend, you could say global timekeepers may need to subtract a second from world clocks in 2029, but the key word is may. So you're letting your friend know that the most important part in this sentence is may, the possibility, the fact that this isn't a certainty. For thousands of years, the Earth has been generally slowing down, with the rate varying from time to time. So here, what verb tense is this? Has been slowing down. So the present perfect continuous has been slowing down, and then generally is the adverb to describe it. And it's because it's an action that started in the past, thousands of years ago, and it continues until now. And by using generally, they're saying most of the time this happens, but there are some times where the Earth isn't slowing down, but generally the Earth is slowing down, with the rate varying from time to time. Another way of saying from time to time, a more advanced way, is periodically, with the rate varying periodically. Adverbs of frequency are generally used with the present simple. I always watch your videos. Thank you. Thank you so much. I periodically watch your videos. You should watch them more, because periodically only means from time to time. Maybe I watch one this week and then I don't watch it for 2 weeks, and then I watch another one in 3 weeks. So that's periodically, but you should always watch my videos. Or you could say I generally watch your videos. That sounds better because it means most of the time. Maybe you miss one or two, but I generally watch your videos. So hopefully you're the first one, but it's okay if you're not. This didn't matter until atomic clocks were adopted as the official time standard more than 55 years ago. Those didn't slow, those being atomic clocks. Those didn't slow. So slow down, because we're talking about how time is slowing down. That established two versions of time, astronomical and atomic, and they didn't match. Astronomical time fell behind atomic time by 2.5 milliseconds every day. To fall behind is a very common expression, one that happens to all of us. You might say, I was sick for a week, so I fell behind. You can end it there if the context is obvious. So you're talking to a work colleague, so they know you're talking about work or work projects, or you're talking to a classmate, so they know you're talking about the schoolwork, your assignments, the projects in class. So you don't need to say what the something is, but you could if it's not obvious or if you choose to. I was sick for a week, so I fell behind my classmates, my studies. So you can fall behind someone else. So you can imagine, so you were not sick and then you were at an equal level with your classmates, but then you got sick, your classmates progressed in their assignments, in their knowledge, in the work they were doing, but you were sick. So you stayed at this level and then your students advanced, or your classmates advanced to this level. So you fell behind. You fell behind your classmates. So it can be someone, or it can also just be the something, the work, the assignments, the studies. So you can say, I fell behind my classmates. I fell behind my studies. Or you can use this in the future. Let's say you're planning a 2-week vacation and your colleague is saying, wow, that's a big deal. You're going to have so much fun. But then you say, oh, I hope I don't fall behind. Because if you go on vacation, your coworkers are working, you're not. So when you get back, your coworkers are going to be here and you're going to be there. I hope I don't fall behind. That meant the atomic clock would say it's midnight, and to Earth, it was midnight a fraction of a second later. So the fact that there's this difference between astronomical time and atomic time. So midnight would happen on your phone would say midnight, but for Earth's rotation, midnight happened a fraction of a second later. So your phone and then Earth, that would be like a fraction of a second, because a second happens like that. So it would have to be one tiny piece of that, which is so fast, I probably can't even display it to you. In 2022, the world's timekeepers, this sounds like an interesting occupation. The world's timekeepers decided that starting in the 2030s, they'd change the standards for inserting or deleting a leap second. Remember, a leap second is when you subtract 1 second from clocks, from atomic clocks, the clock on your phone. Deleting a second, 1 second, making it much less likely. So if the timekeepers have a policy for how they remove a second, then we don't have to have this event we may have in the future in 2029. So this here, they'd change. What does this D represent? This D represents an entire word. They'd change, they would change, they would change. In this case, would is the past simple of the verb will, and we're using the past because this happened in 2022, the decision. So this is speaking about it as the past. They'd change the standards for inserting or deleting a leap second, making it much less likely. Tech companies such as Google and Amazon unilaterally instituted their own solutions. Let's talk about unilaterally. When someone does something unilaterally, it means they make the decision on their own. They do not consult with anyone else. So Google instituted their own solution. Google did not discuss it with the world keepers. They did not discuss it with Amazon or anyone else. Just Google instituted, which means they established, they put in place their own solution, and Amazon did the same thing. So Amazon said, okay, this is what we're going to do. They did not discuss it, share it, or get approval from the World Timekeepers or Google or anyone else. You could say she unilaterally signed the contract, which means she signed it without asking anyone else for their opinions or if they agree or if they approve of her doing that. She unilaterally signed the contract. So tech companies such as Google and Amazon unilaterally instituted their own solutions to the leap second issue by gradually adding, so here's how they did it. So what's their solution? By gradually adding, so gradual means they add it slowly. You see this a lot in recipes. They'll tell, perhaps a recipe calls for 1 cup of sugar, but it might say add the sugar gradually. So you don't just go and add it at once. So you're stirring and then you add a little bit, you stir, you add a little bit more, you're stirring, add a little bit more. So that would be gradually adding sugar to a recipe. And in this case, gradually adding fractions of a second over a full day. So Google is doing this. So in 3 years, 5 years, they don't have to remove 1 full second from their clock. They solved it. They found the solution by gradually adding fractions of a second over a full day, Levine said. That is the end of the article. So we'll find out in 2029 if we have this negative leap second, because remember, they may do this. It's not a certainty, it's a possibility. Now what I'll do is I'll read the article from start to finish, and this time you can focus on my pronunciation. A faster spinning Earth may cause timekeepers to subtract a second from world clocks. Earth's changing spin is threatening to toy with our sense of time, clocks, and computerized society in an unprecedented way, but only for a second. For the first time in history, world timekeepers may have to consider subtracting a second from our clocks in a few years because the planet is rotating a tad faster than it used to. Clocks may have to skip a second, called a negative leap second, around 2029, a study in the journal Nature said Wednesday. This is an unprecedented situation and a big deal, said study lead author Duncan Agnew. Ice melting at both of Earth's poles has been counteracting the planet's burst of speed and is likely to have delayed this global second of reckoning by about 3 years, Agnew said. Earth takes about 24 hours to rotate, but the key word is about. For thousands of years, the Earth has been generally slowing down, with the rate varying from time to time. This didn't matter until atomic clocks were adopted as the official time standard more than 55 years ago. Those didn't slow. That established 2 versions of time, astronomical and atomic, and they didn't match. Astronomical time fell behind atomic time by 2.5 milliseconds every day. That meant the atomic clock would say it's midnight, and to Earth it was midnight a fraction of a second later. In 2022, the world's timekeepers decided that starting in the 2030s, they'd change the standards for inserting or deleting a leap second, making it much less likely. Tech companies such as Google and Amazon unilaterally instituted their own solutions to the leap second issue by gradually adding fractions of a second over a full day, Levine said.
Did you like this lesson? Do you want me to make more lessons just like this? If you do, then put more news, put more news in the comments below. And of course, make sure you like this lesson, share it with your friends, and subscribe so you're notified every time I post a new lesson. And you can get this free speaking guide where I share 6 tips on how to speak English fluently and confidently. You can click here to download it or look for the link in the description. And you can keep improving your English with this lesson right now.